Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Danielle and I'm the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. In case you guys are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that all of my groups and links are posted in the description below in case you guys want to check those out. We are doing another Western tumbler today. Everything you see listed here will be covered in today's tutorial. But as always, if you guys have questions about anything I cover, please ask in the comments and I will come back and check them. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get started on this tutorial and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, so we are going to start with a 32 plump from the Steel Magnolias. If you guys don't know, you can pop the bottom off of her tumblers. I like to use a metal putty knife. I just hammer the putty knife into the cracks between the cap and the tumbler. And then I just kind of lift the cap up. If you have a really skinny screwdriver, that will also work. If you guys have not tried the Steel Magnolia, I do have a link and discount code in the description below. But now the cap is off, that way we can glitter it or crystallize it once we are finished decorating the bulk of our tumbler. So I like to make templates for my tumbler patterns. I just label them and put them to the side. I just kind of measure out how large I want them, including any V-splits or stripes or anything like that. So this cow print I just printed on printable vinyl. I typically use the Cricut brand. You can get it on Amazon and it will be linked below. And I'm just going to lay my pre-cut template and I'm just going to trace this template onto the back of the printable vinyl cow print. That way, if I mess up a line or the template shifts, I'm not drawing all over the front of my cow print. So I used the lines on the back of my Cricut printable vinyl as a guide. So I only traced about half of the template. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the little V that's going to go beneath the top part of the tumbler. It'll make sense once it's put together. And this is my printable vinyl. These Western patterns have been super popular. I just restocked them. They sold out again, but I am getting more printed as we speak, and it should be back in stock in a couple days. So once I have my little templates traced, I am just going to cut out the design. So now we have the top of our V-split. And now we're going to cut out the turquoise that is going to go beneath this cow print. I thought this would just be a little fun take on the V-split. Instead of glitter, we're going to be using vinyl. So it will match together like this. And of course, you can trim the excess from the V-split if you need to. I am also going to be using my regular tooled leather vinyl for the other side of this tumbler. So I am just cutting out a large rectangle that is going to be applied to the opposite side. And I am going ahead and trimming the white So I'm going to go ahead and line up the top of this vinyl with my cup. And I'm just going to wrap it around. I need to get one of those tools that helps you apply things super easy in one step. That would make my life easier. But once you have it straight, we're just going to smooth it down. I am just making sure that there are no air bubbles that are underneath it. I'm going to use my heat gun just to kind of help it adhere to the tumbler. And I am using my heat gun to kind of help this overhang be a little bit more flexible, so that I'm going to pull it over the bottom edges, and later I will come back and trim all that excess off. So I'm really just kind of smoothing down everything right now, smoothing down the top, the sides, the bottom. And now we're going to apply our cow print and our turquoise jewels. And I'm just doing the same thing. I'm going to peel off the cow print that is on the backing. And we're just going to line up the top of the cow print with the top rim of our tumbler. So I'm just lining it up since it's not a very large piece. I'm just smoothing out the top and then smoothing down the sides. So we can clearly see how my measurements were off for one of my templates. One of them had to be for a smaller cup. I just wrote it down wrong. But you guys always know if I screw up something, I always like to show you guys ways to fix it. You don't have to pull off your vinyl, start over, recut something. So I decided to leave this space here, and I decided to add some of my teal tooled leather vinyl. So this is the teal version, and I thought that this would be something different. I did one tumbler where it was just the cow print V-split and the original leather vinyl on the opposite side. So I figured that this one would be something different, to have an extra strip of the teal leather vinyl going down the side. And I do really like how it turned out. So this just goes to show you guys, even if you mess up, you can always do things to fix your tumblers and still make them look really good. So I just cut out 2 strips that were the same size with my little cutter. I believe these were probably an inch, inch and a half. And I'm just going to apply it in between the cow print and the original tooled leather vinyl. So now we have the teal vinyl next to the original brown leather vinyl. And we're going to do the same thing with the bottom. We're just going to fold these pieces over, and I will come and trim that later. So now that we have our vinyl on how we want it, I was really happy with how this was looking. So I am going to tape off all of the vinyl so that we can apply our glitter glue and glitter everything. And these are 2 colors that were in July's flock box. These are Cowboy Colada and Midnight Cowboy. And I'm just using painter's tape to tape off the vinyl. The painter's tape does not ruin the vinyl. It's not going to lift the color or anything like that. It will just help get really clean lines when we glitter this part of our tumbler. So I am just going to squirt on a little bit of this glitter glue. This is from Artistry Epoxy. If you guys have not tried it, I definitely suggest trying it. It is some of the best stuff I have tried. I do have a discount code below for you guys. This is 100 times better than Mod Podge. Y'all know I never use Mod Podge, so if I'm using this, you know it has to be good. So once I have it on there, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of our first color while holding our cup at an angle so that this color cascades down the cup, forming a little gradient. And this is an irregular shaped glitter, so I am kind of tapping down any little shards that may be standing up. And then I'm going to go in with my second color, and we're going to hold the cup the opposite direction, and we're going to let this second color fall down the cup the opposite direction that the first color fell down the cup. So this helps create a good gradient from one color to the next. And I'm just tapping down any pieces that are standing up. So I was really happy with how this was looking. And glitter glue takes about 30 minutes to dry depending on how thick the coat you applied. I'm just going to remove all the tape. I will trim all of the excess vinyl that's on the bottom rim of this cup. I will fold over the vinyl, make sure it's secure to the bottom rim, and then I will seal everything really well with Rustoleum 2x clear, just to be sure that this glitter does not move. And then I will put it on my turner for 2 coats of epoxy, making sure that this glitter is smooth so that we can apply our vinyl and any decals that we have. So now that our tumbler has been epoxied and sanded really well, I'm going to apply our decal. I just printed this on printable vinyl. This was downloaded from Creative Fabrica. I will link it below for you guys. If you don't have a subscription for Creative Fabrica, I definitely suggest it. I use it almost daily. So now I'm going to apply our pinstripes. I am just using black and gold for these pinstripes. Whenever I print pinstripes, I will typically print an entire 12 by 12 page. That way I have loads of pinstripes whenever I need them. I print them in 3 different sizes. I do 0.07, 0.05, and 0.03. That way I have different sizes to choose from, and I can layer colors if I need to, which I typically do whenever I do pinstripes. So we are going to basically apply the black first, and I am cutting these vinyl lines at a 90-degree angle so that I can match them up and form a perfect V. And there is my daily train. So once I have the black, I am just going to show you guys that I'm going to do the gold the exact same way. We are applying the gold directly on top of the black and then cutting it at a 90-degree angle so that when we apply the other side of the gold stripe, it matches up to a perfect V. So I will always outline all of the vinyl strips with one layer of the pinstripes, and then I will kind of just look at the tumbler and think, where else can I put them that would look good? So I am just outlining the pinstripes with more pinstripes, basically. We're just bringing this gold into the cow print. And I am just eyeballing this. If you guys are super OCD and want everything to be extremely perfect, you can definitely use a guide out of vinyl or tape if you want. I'm not too concerned with getting everything extremely perfect. But I do a pretty good job of eyeballing stuff. So I really like the look of this gold. These are the thinnest lines I have, the 0.03. So I just started outlining the other V with the gold. And where this vinyl is overlapping the teal tooled vinyl, I'm not too concerned about it because that vinyl will also be outlined with pinstripes, so it will cover any overhang that this gold is showing. So now we're going to get a little bit of a thicker line. And I'm just going to go right down the center where the cow print and the tooled leather are divided. And I'm trimming off the excess, and we're just folding it over just like we did the first vinyl that we applied. I'm also applying a pinstripe in between the teal tooled leather vinyl and the brown tooled leather vinyl. So that way these sections are getting divided. And it really just makes for kind of really sharp sections. Everything is going to be crisp and clean. And I am trimming, if there's any gold pieces that are really long that this black will not cover, then I will just go ahead and trim it a little bit. So now that we have the black on, we're going to go back in with a thinner gold pinstripe, and we're just going to lay it right on top of the black. And I did forget that instead of the leather bottom, I did actually go back and glitter it with the Midnight Cowboy. I just liked that look a little bit better. I think I did it with UV resin actually. So I'm trimming these pinstripes just below the bottom, so that the bottom rim is Midnight Cowboy glitter, and then the pinstripes just stop right before that glitter. So now I'm just adding another pinstripe next to the first one that I did. So we have some pinstripes that are black and gold and some that are just gold. And don't worry, we're not just going to have a random circle of cactuses on our tumbler. We are going to distress that later. So now that we have one side done with our pinstripes, we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. going to layer the black with the gold. And then we're adding just a couple more gold pinstripes. And we're going to trim that excess off. So I was really happy with how these pinstripes were looking. Now we're going to take this decal. This was just a decal that I made in Silhouette. I will link the font below. It is one that I got from Creative Fabrica. And for some reason, when I cut these decals, I don't know what happened. My font shifted or something like that when it was cutting. So I had to apply it in sections. This one was not as bad as some of the other ones that I did. My transfer tape is also linked below. I always get asked what transfer tape I use. Most of the time it works really well, but I do use every little piece until it will not pick up any more vinyl. And I'm just going to apply this directly in the center. I always use transfer tape with lines because it helps me line up stuff. So I am just lining up one side of my decal, and then we're lining up the other side. I really liked the look of the words kind of overlapping the vinyl a little bit. If you guys want it completely contained in your cow print, then you do need to make your decal a little bit smaller than I made mine. I typically make mine between 3.5 and 4 inches on a cup this size. So now that all of our vinyl is on, I am going to take Artistry's Quick Seal. It is a urethane sealer. It really helps with vinyl lifting. If you guys watch my videos, you know that my biggest pet peeve is when the pinstripe vinyl lifts under epoxy. It is so frustrating. But if I seal it with Quick Seal, I don't have that problem. I also use it to seal my printable vinyl. You don't have to seal printable vinyl before you epoxy. It's not going to bleed or run or anything like that. However, I have found that it does release a lot of bubbles. So you can hit it with your torch and then 20 minutes later, you'll have all these bubbles kind of forming on top of your printable vinyl. So if you don't catch them, those bubbles could cure, and then you would have to sand everything, and it's just a big mess. So I find that when I seal my printable vinyl with Quick Seal, I don't get those bubbles anymore. It is a nice, smooth finish on top of all of my printable vinyl. And it really does not take a lot. Quick Seal pretty much has the consistency of water. So you just need a little bit to kind of cover your vinyl, your pinstripes, decals, anything you have on there. I typically will do 2 coats. I will let it dry for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then we will epoxy. So here is our tumbler again after another layer or 2 of epoxy. I taped off the side that I do not want spray paint on. I just used a sheet of paper and painter's tape. So we're first going to go in with black. And I did not sand this tumbler. If you sand, sometimes the spray paint can get stuck in those sanding grooves, and we do not want that. So I just try to epoxy twice so that everything is very smooth, so I do not need to sand it. So we just went in with a flat black from Rustoleum. We're going to let that dry a little bit. then we're going to come in with a metallic, also from Rustoleum. And we're just going to spray that right on top of the black. And I forgot to show you guys what can I used, but this is the metallic, it's like a metallic copper, I believe, from Rustoleum. This is one of my favorite colors to use. Bright Coat Copper. So after that dries for a little bit, we're going to go in with Rustoleum Flat White. I like to use the Ultra Matte. It dries really quickly. And we're just going to spray that white right on top of the copper. It was very windy this day, clearly. And once this dries, we're going to go back in with our blue. So we're going to use Satin Vintage Teal. I try to use matte when I can because it dries much quicker than gloss, but satin is not awful. So we're going to take this blue and spray it directly on top of the white. And once this dries really well, it will be ready to distress. You don't want to try to distress when it's still wet. So to distress our image, we need 91% alcohol and we need acetone. So I'm going to remove this paper so we have nice crisp lines. And if you guys have nails like I do and you don't want them ruined, I like to double glove using these black gloves I get in the automotive section at Walmart. The acetone does not seep through, so your nails will not be ruined. And I like to use these yellow microfiber car towels that I get from Costco. So we're going to start distressing by just wiping with acetone only. We're just going to remove the bulk of the paint that we want removed to reveal our image. And then we will go back and distress everything with the alcohol. So there's my little circle image. Then I'm going to go and get rid of the majority of the paint that is on the top and the bottom. And now we're going to switch to the alcohol. This is 91%. If you get 70%, it's not going to remove as much paint. And y'all can see that I am really scrubbing hard when I am using the alcohol. But that's how you get that really kind of distressed feel. You'll be able to see multiple layers of the spray paint instead of just the first or second layer. And we're just basically going to do this to the tops and bottom until you're happy with how it looks. I really like to really get in there and scrub it really hard and get some of that black showing through, some of that copper showing through. So the teal, even though it is the last color we sprayed, is going to be the least amount of color on the tumbler. So now I'm also going in and distressing that image a little bit. I don't want it to be just a perfect circle. I definitely want it to be distressed. So I'm just scrubbing around these edges with the alcohol. You really do get an arm workout when you do this because I am like really scrubbing so hard. Don't be afraid to over scrub or put some muscle into it. And once the little portion of your cloth gets a lot of spray paint on it, you will need to switch to a clean section of the cloth. If you don't, you're basically just going to be rubbing with color and it's not going to remove any paint. So y'all can now see that I am distressing the bottom part. So on this side, you can see that I am rubbing, so we get some of that black showing through. So we get those different layers of paint and we don't just have white that we're looking at or black around the edges. I really want to see all of the colors throughout this distressing. And this is basically what you're going to do until you're happy with it. If you don't like as much distressing as I do, then you don't have to do as much. So right now I am just cleaning up my edges, making sure there's no overspray paint that is on the vinyl, because once you epoxy, it's going to be on there forever. So just clean it off really well, and then we're going to apply some foils. So I'm just going to use some Deco Foil Gel. I'm going to apply it with a stiff brush so I get a more distressed look. And once I have this Deco Gel on the tumbler, we're going to let it dry for about 30 minutes. You can speed up that process by using a heat gun. But once the gel is completely dry, we will be ready to apply our foils. So now that our Deco Foil Gel is dried, we're going to apply our foils. I am using this small pack that I got off of Amazon because the foils in this pack are a smaller print, and I thought that would look best for our smaller brush strokes. So I am just putting the foils on, rubbing it on with my little vinyl tool that I have, and just peeling it off, and the foil sticks to the gel. And the more that you rub the foils onto the gel, the more print you will get released. I wanted my foils to be more distressed, so I'm just kind of lightly tapping them down. So I'm just kind of feeling if there's any more gel that I didn't cover. So once I have all of my foils on, I'm going to get Quick Seal again. I find that my epoxy repels the Deco Foil Gel and the foils. So just to make sure that everything gets covered really well, I'm just going to cover it with Quick Seal and put it on the turner for a final 2 coats of epoxy. So after your tumbler is completely done, we are ready to do the glitter butt. That is the last thing that you want to do because we're not going to be putting any more layers of epoxy on our tumbler. This was just a bulk group that I was doing. I like to mix up 2 colors, and I apply 1 color in the first cavity of the bottom, and then I do a second color in the middle cavity of the bottom. This gold is Colorado Campfire from thedrunkflamingo.com. If you are doing just 1 tumbler, the outside cavity, which I'm filling right now, takes about 5 mils. And the center cavity takes about 10 to 15 depending on the size of your tumbler. And I just apply it with a popsicle stick. If you feel more comfortable using something like a syringe, you can definitely do that as well. And I did get a little drip on my tumbler, but this one was mine anyway, so. But I just wiped it off really good with alcohol, and it was fine. So once you get done with the exterior cavity, we're going to go in and fill the bottom cavity. And I am washing my hands really quick. If you guys do not have a sticky situation from Artistry Epoxy, definitely get it. It will get epoxy, paint, inks, everything off of your hands. So now that my hands are clean, we're going to mix up a little bit of Cowgirl Cooler. And this is going to be the interior cavity color for some of these tumblers. And then I'm going to mix up a little bit of Lemon Drop Mermaid Cocktail. And I'm going to use this color for the other tumblers. So once I get these filled, I will pop them with my torch, all the bubbles. Once this layer of epoxy dries, I will coat all of these bottoms in a clear coat of epoxy. That way everything is very smooth. You won't be able to feel any glitter that has risen to the top. And then your tumblers will be complete. And here are some finished pictures of these cups. I love how they turned out. I love the distressing, the colors, the vinyl, everything about them is so pretty. If you guys attempt to do some of these tumblers, please post in Damn Fancy Creations tutorial group or the Drunk Flamingo glitter group. I love to see you guys' creations, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If y'all enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group or my Damn Fancy tribe. Both are linked in the description. Thanks for watching!